guys, it's your boy Sam Anderson, aka Mr. Pernuer, coming to you with another episode of the You Can't Afford Me podcast. Another solo episode. Guys, I'm really going to enjoy doing these this year in 2024. There are a lot of pieces of content that I listen to and I'm like, man, I would love to break that down, give a different take on it. So today, a good friend of mine sent me a video on YouTube that talked about the 15 investments you won't regret making. And this video was brought by alux.com. They're not a sponsor of this video or podcast, but this was some great content and I wanted to break this down. So I'm gonna give you guys 15 investments that you won't regret making later on in life. Number one is becoming debt-free. Now guys, I will tell you, for me, the type of personality I am, and I assume that a lot of other entrepreneurs are like this, I had debt that I needed to take care of, but because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm always looking to generate income, knowing that investments can yield me more money. I kept pushing debt off to the side. I'm like, you know what, whatever, I'll get to it whenever. But I want you to think about it like this. If you had a credit card with $10K worth of debt and you just made the minimum payments each month, you would end up paying over $70,000. Let me say that again. You racked up a credit card payment to 10 grand, only making the minimum payments, you'd end up paying back about 70K. Now, when you think about how much that robs you of your future, you start looking at debt a little bit different. Think about it like this. If you ever loan, I know this is probably back in the day for a lot of people, have you ever loaned somebody, let's say like $100, and then next time you see them, they ain't got your money, but they're wearing a new pair of Jordans? What do you feel like when you see that? If you're like me, you don't feel good. I'm looking at that guy like, bruh, you owe me money. How you out here flexing a new pair of shoes? All right. I've had to make such a mental shift when it comes to debt and looking at that and understanding that it truly is a wealth killer. If you can't get that debt knocked out, and I know some people listening to this been like, you know, that may be easy for you to say, you have all these companies, blah, blah, blah. Guys, it has been a struggle for me as well. But if you're listening to this right now and you're automatically thinking about the reasons you can't do it or the excuses that you can't do it, nothing on this list that I'm gonna explain to you is gonna be worthwhile for you. You're just gonna keep coming with excuses. Now, you can either attack it and do something about it, or sit there and complain and remain in debt for the rest of your life, paying high interest rates, killing your wealth building years. So you just have to make a decision that this is something that you're gonna do. Now, it can start small. For me, I would literally go through my budget and notice where I was spending my money and realize that I did have money to pay this debt off, more than the minimum payment. But just starting with the minimum payment and the weight that begins to come off your shoulders as you pay off this debt, as you pay off these credit cards. Guys, I'm telling you, it's a good feeling, because when it rains in your life, it's not a matter of if, it's when. We're all gonna have those storms and troubles in our lives. It's a lot easier to weather those storms when you don't have money that you owe to other people. Now, I'm putting your mortgage payment aside, just looking at, you know, consumer debt. It is a lot easier life when you don't have that monkey on your back. So getting that debt paid off. Number two, purchasing rental properties in the two main hubs of each city. Now, for the most part, you have, for each hub of a city, you have downtown, which is, you know, primarily where tourists are going to be. Maybe you have a major university in your town in that area. And then the business sector, where like the biggest companies in your town are. All right. The two things with looking at rental property in those areas, those are highly sought after areas that people are going to want to live in. Being in the city, when I was younger, I lived in the city. All right. I wanted to be right near the bars, the clubs, the restaurants, all that stuff. People are going to have to pay rent somewhere. Not everybody owns a home. And then looking at the business district, where you have these major companies, people want to live close to work. So looking at those two major areas, investing in real estate. You guys can tell from season 1, we had a lot of people in the real estate field on this podcast. You can tell I'm trying to give you guys the gems, right? Real estate is one of the major ways to build wealth. You just got to do it. Now, all these things on this list are going to require education. Like, you're going to have to educate yourself and figure these things out. But if you're looking at real estate, becoming a landlord, looking in those two areas of your cities. Number 3, probably one of my favorites. Buy earth. It's a wealth building tool. Now, here's why I love purchasing land. Is because for me, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't have any doors right now. Like, I don't have any rental properties where I have tenants. 2024 is probably going to be that first year for me where I get my first door. But I do own land. And I will tell you why I love land. A couple of reasons. One, guys, it can be extremely cheap. So I looked at what I used to spend collecting sneakers. On average, when I was like really into it, I was easily spending $1,000 a month on kicks. Easily. Guys, the first lot of land I bought was about $3,000. So that was about 3 months worth of what I used to spend on sneakers. But now I own land. Let me paint even a better picture for you. That land I purchased, right now we're in January 2024. I purchased my first lot in February of 2023. Purchased it for about $3,000. That property is now sitting at about $17,000. Guys, I only cut the grass one time. Nothing has been done. Nothing. And land is something that you can continually pass through generation, and generation. I don't have a game plan specifically of what I'm going to do with these lots that I have. People keep asking me, are you going to build something on it? Well, I may. But the biggest thing is just ownership. Getting my hands on that, because that's something I can pass along to my kids. If my kids want to live in that area one day, they can build their first house on that lot. Property value, I told you guys within a year, the property value is going up, what's that? 14 grand? 14 grand on an investment I made for a little over $3,000. It's now valued at 14 grand. And it's a lot easier to come up with $3,000 than it is $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 for a rental property. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But buying land, I'm telling you guys, look into it. There are some areas of the country in which you can purchase land for as little as $750. One of my favorite quotes. One thing God ain't making any more of is land. So if you buy it, the price will eventually go up. All right, buying earth. Number 4, putting money in an S&P 500. Now, again, let me reiterate. You don't want to be delving into any of these other investments until you've gotten yourself debt-free. Now, if that takes you a year, if that takes you 2 years, if it takes you 5 years, you're going to be much better off getting that debt paid off before you jump into these other opportunities. Well, putting money in the S&P 500. If you're like me, for the longest time, I didn't understand anything about the stock market. I still don't fully understand everything about the stock market, like picking stocks. You know, you hear people say buy shares of Tesla, buy Apple, buy Microsoft, buy Bitcoin, whatever it is. And really not having the knowledge that I thought I needed in order to pursue those investments. But by investing in the S&P 500, it's basically the top 500 companies in America. That is one of the safest ways to see your money grow. You don't have to do a bunch of research. You don't have, generally it's going to yield you an 8% return on your money year over year. 8%. You don't have to understand everything about investing. You just have to put your money to work. That is a way to financial freedom. That is a way to generational wealth. You have to get your money working for you. So once you get that debt out the way and you can start investing in these other things, you can really start to see your money grow. Number 5, I'll admit to you guys, I don't know a lot about this. Number 5 is buying art. Now, I will say this. I talked to my wife when we build or purchase our next home. I don't want us going to TJ Maxx to get art for the wall. I want to find original artists and purchase their works. Because I know that replica of the Mona Lisa that I get from TJ Maxx is never going to go up in value. But original pieces of art, it's an investment. Imagine walking into your house and walking by a painting and knowing that You purchase that painting for $500 and that painting is now worth $5,000. And probably a lot of people walking in your house are none the wiser. They just, oh, that looks like a pretty painting. But you've got something that's not only making your house feel like a home, it's also an investment tool, something that you can pass along. Jay-Z said it in his last album, 444, trying to pass this along to his kids. Bought some artwork for $1 million. Half a year later, we're $2 million. I'm telling you, like, the game is out there for y'all. People just aren't listening. Invest in art. Number 6, this is an interesting one. Invest in travel. The biggest thing travel will do for you is it will open up your eyes. It will allow you to communicate and empathize with people in a way that you never have before. Because depending on where you are in the world, things can be a lot different. But to see other people's personalities, to see other people's perspectives, to see them living a little bit different. Like, there's so much you can soak in and learn from other cultures. Now, this is something I have to work on a lot. Honestly, if I wasn't married, I'm not sure how much I would vacation. Like, my wife literally has to force me and say, okay, like, this is what we're doing. We're taking the kids here, or you and I are going here. Right? Travel. Because all this hustling that we're doing, all this grinding, building empires, what is it if you don't have experiences? So take that time, invest in traveling. Number 7, maybe the most important thing on this list. Invest in your health. I heard someone say one time, in our 20s, I'm gonna butcher this, but you guys will get the idea. In our 20s, we completely neglect our health. I can remember ordering a number 2 from McDonald's and then go playing basketball for an hour and a half. Right? We neglect our health. Like in college, you're drinking, you're smoking, you're doing all these crazy things. Then you get to your late 30s and 40s, and health starts to become a priority. We start to try to make up for all the past years of bad decisions. If you have $10 million in the bank, but you're bedridden, how much is that money really worth to you? If you don't have your health, you have nothing. One of the best returns you can get on investment is in your health. You can extend the amount of time that you're able to produce an income and build wealth. You can extend the amount of time that you have good times with your loved ones, family, and friends. When you start to break it down, number 1, no one's ever walked out of the gym being like, man, I wish I hadn't worked out today. I feel horrible. No. We always have to talk ourselves into getting to the gym, but once you get there, you're always happy you did it. You made an investment in yourself. And guys, it's such a small portion of your day, a bare minimum of 30 minutes to get in some physical activity, to make sure that when you're 70, 80 years old, you're not hunched over, that you need assistance. Getting older sucks, but there are things that we can do to prevent that. So invest in your health. Number 8, investing in your relationship with your partner. I've said it before on this platform. One of the biggest decisions you'll make as an entrepreneur is who you choose to spend the rest of your life with. You need someone who's going to support you, who's going to be a partner, right? So taking that time to invest in that relationship. The most successful people that I look up to, I look at all facets of their life. And the ones that I most look up to are in happy, successful marriages. Those in happy relationships just tend to live longer. They tend to live fuller lives. So making sure that you're taking that time to invest into your partner. Number 9, on a similar vein, investing relationships with friends. Guys, this is not fun because I have been broke. I'm not wealthy now, but I'm doing a lot better than I used to. But I've been broke before. You ever been broke and your friends want to take a trip, or they want to just go out that night, or they want to go out to dinner and you ain't got it? So you don't want to scale to the top of the mountain and have neglected all those relationships and you're at that mountaintop by yourself. It's a lot more fun if you take this journey with others. So your relationships with your friends, check on people. I realized that a guy that was in my wedding was going through something pretty serious in this personal relationship, and it had been going on for a year, and I had no idea. Staying connected with those friends. Like, these relationships die. I know we all get busy. We have kids. We have businesses, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't take that long to stop and text somebody. Give them a call real quick. Hey, man, didn't want anything. Just want to check and see how you're doing. Invest in those relationships, because the better your life gets, you're going to want to share it with more people. Number 10, invest in your financial education. Guys, I don't want to hear, oh, I don't know anything about stocks and bonds. I don't know anything about Roth IRAs and 401ks. I don't know anything about the stock market. I don't know anything about real estate. Guess what? I didn't know jack about any of these things until I chose to pick up a book. Until I chose to turn on a podcast and educate myself. Until I started paying for Audible and listening to books on my commute back and forth to work every day. Educate yourself. Ignorance is not an excuse. So we can keep sitting here having pity parties for ourselves, complaining about what we don't have, but we're not willing to put in the work. Opening up a book for 15 minutes a day. Again, not a lot of time in your day. But I saw this the other day. For every self-improvement book you read, your life gets 1% better. Because your income can get 1% better. After every book, your relationships can get 1% better. All these things can grow just by educating yourself. When people really understand how powerful educating yourself and reading is, that your income could be completely dependent on the fact that you just don't read enough. That your business isn't where it's at today because you don't read enough. Because you're not the partner you want to be. Because you don't read enough. You're not the father or the mother you want to be because you don't read enough. Some of y'all just got to start picking up a book. I'm telling you. Every successful person I've interviewed has shown me that they read on a regular basis. That their education never stops. Make the time to read and educate yourself. Number 11, invest in spiritual and emotional health. I will tell you this as a Christian in building businesses. Guys, times get tough. I mean, tough. Doesn't matter the scale of your business, you're always going to have problems. And when those times get tough and I have my faith to depend on, there's so many situations and things that have happened that I'm not sure I would have gotten through if I didn't have faith, if I didn't have belief in God. Keep your spiritual and emotional health in check. Number 12, invest in your social skills. You need to know how to talk to people. Now, I'll go as far as saying this. You need to learn how to get comfortable getting on stage and talking to a group of people. I'm going to give you guys an example. I was at a local chamber meeting. They had an open house and there's a bunch of chambers in our area, but this is probably the biggest one. And during that open house, it's probably a room, I want to say, of 40, 50 people. Everybody's getting about a minute to go around the room and introduce themselves. And I'm sitting there thinking, luckily I was like the 20th person or 25th person. I'm sitting there thinking the whole time, what is it that I can say to grab these people's attention just like that? Because I only got 60 seconds to catch them. What is it that I can say just to make them remember that guy in the back? So it was funny. It was like 7 people in a row. They were all like professors at VCU. So when it came time and got to me, I stood up, introduced myself, and said, hey guys, I'm Sam Anderson. I'm a professor at VCU. No, I'm just playing. I'm not a professor. And the room just started cracking up. So then I had them. Like, because before there, I could see them when somebody would get up there just kind of in out. But after I made that joke, I had them. And I got their attention. And then following that meeting, at the end of the meeting, I had at least 10 people run up to me. And of course, they heard a little bit of my story, heard all the businesses that I was involved in. They're impressed with my background. But it was the fact that I was able to capture them in that moment. I would say 90% of the speaking engagements I've ever had in my career, being on stage, talking in front of groups, 90% of those, I've always walked away with a client. Tuesday, I'm going to a VCU game. Associate of mine got box seats. And the people that she's bringing is going to allow for some networking. So not only did I get box seats to a college basketball game, I'm going to walk out of there with some business cards and some relationships. You got to know how to communicate with people, how to interact with people, to connect with them on some level. All right, so invest in your social skills. Learn how to talk. Number 13, and we got two more. Invest in making your house a home. I remember the first house me and my wife bought, after we had to get it set and prepped for the market because we were selling that house. There were so many little things that we did that we were like, man, I wish we had done this years ago while we were living in the house and could have enjoyed it more. That is your place of peace. That is your kingdom. You want to make it a place that you feel comfortable and relaxed when you come home. Make that investment into your home. Number 14, invest in documenting your life. Think back to like your grandparents. I know I have one, my grandfather on my mother's side, I never got to meet. He passed away before I was born. And there's only one picture that I've seen of him, or at least that I can keep in my mind. But today, guys, we have access to cameras all day long, everywhere we go. And looking through my camera roll, like the amount of pictures I have of my wife and kids, like it's insane. And the cool thing I like on iPhones is that it'll create these memory videos for you. So every now and then I'm just on my phone each week and it makes a collage of videos of when my daughter was born. Like special memories. Document these things. Each year so far when our kids have had their birthday, I've made a full video from their birthday party. If you don't have that skill set, hire somebody to come in. Doing family photos. Document your life. These are going to be awesome things to look back on one day. And last but not least, investing in yourself and not worrying about impressing others. I want to tell you guys the moment my life changed for the better, dramatically, is when I truly, deep down in my soul, stopped caring what other people thought about me. Like, I do not care. When I tell you guys I give 0 Fs, I do not care what anyone thinks about me. And it was the most freeing moment in my life when I got to that point. I'm not trying to impress anybody. Because here's the funny thing. I read this before, is that, say a Ferrari goes flying down your street, or you're on the highway and you pass one. I know from the male perspective, we will look at that vehicle. We won't even see the man or woman who's driving that car. We just immediately imagine ourselves in our car. So most of you are spending all this money to impress people you don't know, who when they see these items that they covet, are automatically removing you from the equation. You're not even a factor. They're seeing themselves in that scenario. So take that time to figure out who you are and what you want out of life. Because we can all say we want this or want that. Until you sit down and write out a game plan on these things, it's not going to happen, guys. I can promise you it will not happen. If you don't sit down and really think these things out and plan it, you're never going to have them. Invest in yourself, whether that's going to conferences, whether it's going back to school, whether it's finding mentors. Find some way to continually invest in yourself. Like I told you about reading books, get you 1% better in whatever area it is that you're reading about. These are self-improvement books. I'm not talking about Harry Potter or any fiction. Self-improvement books, whether that's financial, business, whatever, health, whatever. You can get 1% better with every single book you read. A conference kind of like jolts that because you're getting so much information in a short period of time. But invest in yourself. Now, when I saw this video and I saw this list of things, I was like, this is probably one of the best lists I've seen in terms of investments that everyone needs to make in themselves. This hits every facet of your life, and none of these are difficult. It just takes planning. It just takes strategy. I hope that someone heard this message today and it connected with them. That there's something on this list that made you say, I can do that. I need to start moving in the right direction. Appreciate you guys as always for listening. I got to start doing this more often. Make sure that you guys are subscribing. Leave that 5-star review. It really does make a big difference. Like, you guys are getting this information for free. All I'm asking is leave a review and subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next episode.